All right, let's get right into it. Have you ever just, stopped and looked around at, well, everything and thought, what is all of this? Like, really, why are we even here? It's a huge question, right? But today, we're going to look at an idea that flips that question on its head. What if all of this, our reality, is just one massive cosmic game? Yeah, that's the big one we're tackling today. Are we just players? Is this whole universe some incredibly complex game? And if it is a game, you gotta ask, what are the rules? Who made it? And maybe most importantly, what's the point of even playing? Okay, so let's run with that. If life really is a game, then the first, most obvious question has to be, who's the game maker? Well, when you start thinking about a game maker, you basically run into two totally different camps. On one side, you have the deist view. This is the idea of a creator who, builds the entire universe, sets all the rules, winds it up like a giant clock, and then just walks away. Done. But then you have this other perspective, one you find in the Quran, which says something completely different. It says the creator never left. In fact, the creator is still right here, actively playing the game, alongside us. And this verse right here, it's a direct shot at that whole hands-off creator idea. It says some people claim God's hand is tied up, but no. Both his hands are widely outstretched. So we're not talking about a game maker who just wrote the code and then pieced out. We're talking about a creator who is still a very, very active player on the board. Okay, so if the game maker is still in the game, how does that even work? Are they just some invisible force pushing things around? The sources we're looking at suggest something way more interesting. They talk about a player with a very special kind of access. So, in a lot of mystical traditions, you hear about this thing called the Isme-e-Azam, which translates to the greatest name of God. And the popular idea, the one you hear all the time, is that it's basically a cheat code, a secret, magical word that if you just say it out loud, boom, you get the power to bend reality however you want. But the sources we're digging into, they totally reframe this. They say the greatest name isn't a password you just type in. Think of it more like having admin access to the game's entire operating system. It's not about something you say, it's about something you become. It's the state of being where your own will aligns so perfectly with the game makers that you essentially become a conduit for that power. And there's this fantastic modern analogy for this idea. Player 001 in Squid Game. Remember him? The old man wasn't just another player struggling to survive. Turns out he was the creator of the whole brutal game, just participating from the inside, hidden in plain sight. He didn't know the cheat codes, he was the cheat code. And that is the model for what's called the perfect human in this cosmic game. It's the game maker wearing a player's uniform. So you see, it's not about hunting down some secret word hidden in an old book. It's about dissolving your own ego, your own separate will, until you become a pure, clear reflection of that divine will. The power isn't a word you say, it's the person you become when you are in perfect, seamless alignment with the game's source code. All right, so we've got a game, we've got a hidden game maker playing right here among us, but what about the game board itself? What's it made of? What's the fundamental architecture of our reality? According to these sources, it's not random chaos, not at all. It's actually a very precise geometric structure. And this is basically the blueprint. Imagine it all starting with the source. A single, infinite circle of pure, unified light. Simple, perfect. But for us to actually experience anything, that single light has to pass through a kind of filter, like a transparent prism that divides it, splits it into a whole spectrum of different qualities. And the end result of that whole process, that's our reality, a structured material world in the shape of a 12-edged cube. And that number, 12, is so important here. I mean, think about it. A cube has 12 edges, right? And in these mystical traditions, that number just pops up everywhere. The 12 imams, the 12 signs of the zodiac. It's seen as the fundamental structure, the scaffolding that literally holds our material, cubic reality together. It is the framework of the game board. So here we are, inside this cube, this structured reality. But what is this place really? Is it solid? Is it actually real? Or is it maybe something else entirely? And this is where the sources make a really critical distinction. You hear a lot of talk these days about our world being a simulation, and that kind of implies it's just digital code, something that could just be turned off. But a more accurate model, philosophically speaking, is to think of it as a shadow. I mean, a shadow doesn't have any substance of its own, right? But it's a very real and necessary consequence of a light source. As long as that light is shining, the shadow's going to be there. This connects perfectly to Plato's famous allegory of the cave. We're like those prisoners, chained up, staring at a wall, and we mistake the flickering shadows for the real thing. It's fascinating, because the Quran actually describes a shadow with 3 branches. And our sources interpret that as the 3 dimensions of space we live in: length, width, and height. So our 3D world, that is the shadow. And we're kind of trapped inside it, completely convinced that this is all there is. Which, of course, leads us to the biggest question of all: the why. If we're just players in a cosmic game, living inside a cubic shadow world, why? Why bother? What's the ultimate purpose of putting us through all this? Let's grab another modern analogy from the sources, this time from AI. Think of your soul as a really powerful pre-trained AI model. It's got all this incredible potential baked in, but it has 0 real-world experience. This material world, our reality, is the laboratory. It's the training ground. And life itself, with all the good, the bad, the suffering, the love, that's the fine-tuning process. It's running the model on the dataset of suffering and love. So the goal of the game? It isn't to win or lose. The whole point is to take the soul from just having potential perfection to achieving actualized perfection. And this is where it all comes together. We're at the final kind of mind-bending conclusion. The sources take this entire model, the game, the hidden player, the geometric reality, and they weave it all into one profound answer about the very nature of existence itself. First things first, you have to get that none of this is an accident. This ridiculously complex, beautiful, and often painful game we call life, it's not some cosmic slip-up. It is absolutely intentional. But it's not just a test either, to see who's good and who's bad. And it's deeper than just calling it a simulation. Those are just incomplete metaphors. The reality is something so much more fundamental. And here it is, the core insight. The universe exists because the absolute, the ultimate source, God, whatever you want to call it, it cannot not express itself. Think about it. A sun doesn't decide to shine. It just shines. That's what it is. In the same way, the universe is the necessary shining, the absolutely inevitable self-expression of a reality that is infinitely creative and aware. And this quote just puts it perfectly. This whole universe isn't some event that God decided to create one day. The universe is God's biography. And if that's true, that means we're not just characters in the story. We're the actual words on the page. So we end up right back where we started, but now with a totally new perspective. The game is real, and the game maker is here, hidden among all the other players. Which leaves us with one last, kind of haunting question to chew on. If the game master really is hiding in plain sight, disguised as just another person, then who are you sitting next to on the bus? Who's that person you're standing behind in line at the store? What part of that divine biography are they writing?